Hello, 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 hello. There's Amy. Amy, would you like the link to come? Oh, you know what? Maybe I should restart this. In fact, I need to restart this because I screwed up. I don't have a way to get Josh and Aaron in here. And I know you want to talk about Greta. So I'm going to hang this up and I'll call you on Hangouts and we'll restart this in like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Streaming, I think it'll pick up where we left off, actually. Maybe. Maybe not. Live stream is offline. Okay, so it's going to have to be a new one, I guess.
Why did it put my comment okay in there twice in that chat? That's annoying.
Um, oh, it says we are live, and I think it says live stream offline, except we're not offline. Are we offline or we're not offline?
Well,
Hey, 2 thumbs up, 1 thumbs down already. That's fast work for the trolls. Somebody gets a raise. Somebody should get a raise. Somebody give the troll a raise. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah.
I see you in the
Wadata.
chat,
Okay.
but
Josh
still,
and go ahead.
it still says live stream offline.
Yeah, it does. Started streaming 2 minutes ago. Um, let me just try to go back to my channel.
Now,
Let me see.
that's weird.
See, when I go to my channel, it says live now.
Yeah, I saw that, but then you click on it and it says live stream offline.
Now it's not saying.
Now it's started up again.
No, okay. All right.
Yay!
All right, so we're up and running again. I thought I would get a few minute head start. One watching now, that's probably you, right?
Yeah, that's me.
3 watching now. Okay. Hello and welcome. We're going to have Josh and Aaron are going to join us in a minute, and we are going to discuss some interesting and slightly disturbing thing that I just noticed that I kind of felt like I needed to get off my chest about none other than the young lady known as the sister to Hansel. Greta, not Gretel. Hansel and Gretel. I screwed that up. SS.
That's close enough for government work.
It sure is. And yeah, sure is. What's up, SS? I don't see you in my live stream very often.
Hey,
Um,
SS.
interesting. I was watching a video, and I'll probably have to repeat this. Josh and Aaron are going to come in a couple of minutes. They wanted to finish up their dinner. They'd said they'd be ready to join me at about 9 o'clock. But I wanted to get a head start and get things rolling and get some people hanging out. Before we go through this utter horseshit pile that I'm going to go dig through, you ready to dig through a giant pile of horseshit?
Oh, absolutely.
I know you wanted to talk about this topic. You wanted to do a whole show on it, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. It may only,
Well, I don't know that I wanted to do a whole show, but I definitely wanted to talk about it.
well, now's your chance because this may last about an hour-ish.
Okay.
Josh and Aaron said they've got about an hour to hang with us, and it's already 10 o'clock. I'm not sure how far I'm willing to go, but I am going to expose some horse shittery, if you will.
Awesome.
So this is just one of those unannounced, impromptu, bullshit, calling out kind of videos. So stick with us for a couple of minutes, everyone, as you filter in. In and out, just like the burger chain. Yeah, In and Out burgers. Horse shittery. Yeah. Yeah, I just made up a new word. Horse shittery. Uh, TM. Trademark.
You got it trademarked. All right.
Man, oh man. Let me just show you. I was watching this video from Ocean Keltoy. I don't know if you know this channel.
Mm, doesn't sound familiar,
This
but
guy, this guy here, Ocean Keltoy. He's a pretty good channel. I like him. Makes a lot of good sense.
can you screen share?
Oh, that's right. You're not on my, are you, if you're on my channel, you'll see it. If you just go to,
Oh, okay. Let me go. Let me go check the.
I'm not like playing a,
Yeah. Okay. I see it.
I'm not playing a video or anything, so you can just see what I'm showing.
Got it.
Oops, go back. Um, so here's his description box. He says, oh boy, you guys are in for a wild ride on this one. The Federalist wrote the most poorly researched article, pound for pound, that I've ever read. In this video, we go through the claims he makes one by one and why each of them backfire on him, between misrepresentations of paganism, misrepresentations of environmentalism, misrepresentations of climate change, and even misrepresentations of conservatives. It's an absolute mess, and we'll try to clean it up. And I didn't even make it all the way through the video, where I just got a bug up my ass and I was like, you know what? I have got to look at this article for myself and go through this, because what he shows here is, and this is what I'm gonna go through in a moment, and which, by the way, I do need to go share the link so that Josh and Aaron can come and join. So
Okay.
let me just do that for a second. Copy link. And just so that I don't accidentally broadcast a private conversation, let me please just try to turn this into a tiny pile of nothing so nobody can see anything as I run over here and share the link right quickity dickety.
There's another
Uh,
trademark word, huh?
yeah,
Wickety dickety. I love it.
I'm on a roll tonight, like butter. Okay, all right, let me, all right, back to normals. All right, so here's the article that I had to go and look up, and hopefully Aaron and Josh will be joining us momentarily. But, and I hope I don't have to spend too much time repeating myself. Let's see.
Be sure though that you do repeat quickety dickety and horse shittery.
Quickety dickety is also trademark, so TM on that one.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. That's what I said. Another trademarked.
Okay, so again, Josh and Aaron will probably be joining us. Oh, you know what I need to do is go over here. I think Gandalf said he was going to go to bed, so I'll
No.
drop the link in case he wants to pop in. Oh boy, you should see what I found.
I'm waiting.
Um, I'm sure you're aware of the videos of everybody's talking about this young lady,
Yeah.
and I use that term loosely.
Yeah, really, this young
Person,
person.
he, she, it,
It
her,
whatever.
him,
Yes.
her, that,
Yeah.
it.
I was just sitting there thinking, by the time I was 16, I had enough to tell I was female
Um,
easily below the neck.
there was, I don't know, if, everybody's talking about this from every damn angle. Have you seen, there was a, let me see, I think it might have been High Impact that covered this and some other people. There was a panel on one of the mainstream television shows where they were talking about Greta, and this guy was like, we shouldn't be taking advice from a 16-year-old mentally challenged young per
Individual.
young
Yes.
person. And the guy was like, "What? How dare you? How dare you?" And the guy was just like, super triggered and outraged by the statement when it's well known that she's broadcast as this person who's on the autistic spectrum. She's Asperger's, right? And
Yeah.
which is on the autistic spectrum. This is no secret. Her mother talks about it. It's in on the articles. And the guy, uh, what he said was absolute truth. So,
Hmm.
and then the other panel members were like, "How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?" It was all emotional stuff.
Yes. Yes. No. No logic. I mean, good grief. We should never ever use logic.
God forbid we speak the actual truth.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Let me just, for fun, let's go get Greta at the UN. What was it? It was the UN, wasn't it?
I think so. You know,
There she is.
I'm just getting so tired
And we've
of
all. Go ahead.
seeing her face and listening to that voice that is really emotional when she's got a script, but take the script away and it's just sort of, I mean,
Uh huh.
um,
Yeah.
I mean,
She's your typical dumbass 16-year-old child.
mm-hmm.
So, um, can you, if I play this, can you hear?
Well, I would have to turn the sound on here, and I mean, I've heard it before.
I know you have, but there's something that I want to cover that literally nobody else has covered regarding her emotional speech that she gives. And
Okay.
it's just a tiny little piece, and it's right at the beginning, so I won't take up too much of your time.
Okay, let me turn it
Climate
on
Summit
then.
Monday. The Swedish girl has sparked a global youth movement on climate change, sailing to New York to reduce her carbon footprint before the
Sailing to New York to reduce her carbon footprint. Right, she sailed to New York because her parents have a fucking yacht. She sailed to New York on a. Shut up, George. Can you just get to the damn speech? Blah, blah. Here we go. Here we go. Coming up right about here.
sarcastic tweet.
This is all wrong.
This is all wrong.
I shouldn't be up
I
here.
shouldn't be up here. You're right. You
I should be
shouldn't.
back in school
Yes, you
on the
should.
other side of the ocean.
This morning, the United Nations still
All right.
feeling the shockwaves of teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg.
People are dying. People are dying.
Greta Thunberg.
People are suffering. People are
Oh,
dying.
they skipped it.
Entire ecosystems.
Oh, they skipped right over it. Let me go get a better one. Let me go get the full speech.
Living in Hawaii, the problem of climate change and environmental.
Oh, gee, a commercial for climate change.
Yeah, they get, I've noticed that on a
Cities that
lot
have
of
been watching
videos
you.
these days.
This is all wrong.
Here we go.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean.
Yep.
Yet you all come to us young people for hope.
There it is right there. This is what I wanted to cover. Did you hear that? What did she say?
This is all wrong.
Yep. What else?
I shouldn't be up here.
What else? What else did she say?
I I should be at home in school or something to that
All right,
effect.
let me play it again and see if you pick it up.
Across the ocean.
Yep. Everybody's covered all that. I want to cover something that everybody seems to have missed.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope.
Okay. Did you catch it?
I caught that.
Your voice is really loud. You're
Well,
blowing.
let me
You're
back. Is this better?
no better, please. You're blowing my ears out.
I don't know how to do anything except get way the hell away from the computer.
Oh, okay.
And then I can't see what's going on or use my mouse or nothing.
Okay. Well,
I know.
just try to speak softly. Car-
Okay,
car-
is
carry a
this
big,
better?
yeah, carry a big stick, but speak softly.
Is this better?
Yes, sweetie. Thank you. All right. Did you catch it?
Okay.
Shall I play it again?
Well, it's kind of difficult because I'm trying to watch
All right. Listen. Just
something that has a big delay.
okay. One more time. I'll play it and I'll shut up. Just listen and you see if you catch what I missed or what I'm trying to point out.
On the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope.
Did you catch it?
Back in school on the other side of the ocean.
Well, I notice she
Yet
keeps
you
looking
all
at a
come to us
script.
young people for hope. How
I'm gonna play it 10 fucking times until you get it.
here? I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How
Oh, joy.
dare you?
Tell me when you get it.
On the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Tell me when you get it. I don't understand why you're not getting it.
Be up here.
Well, she
I should
seems
be
to
back
think
in
there's only
school
one
on the
ocean.
other side of the ocean.
The ocean.
Listen.
Yet you all come to us young people for hope.
I swear to God, maybe that's why everybody's missing it. You're not getting it.
No, I'm not seeing what you're trying to point out, but please, please point it out.
Where did my there it is. Who's getting it? Who's getting it? Cult Bear? Anybody? All right, I'm gonna check the chat. Is anybody in the chat picking up on what I'm trying to show here? That's the biggest carbon footprint. Come to young people for hope. Yes, thank you, SS. Thank you. Bravo, SS. Thank you. Is anybody coming to the young people for hope? Let me just. Cool.
No,
All right.
I don't think so.
Josh and Aaron said they'd be here in a minute.
Okay, cool.
So where did it go? I'll play it again, just for you, Amy, and
No,
anybody.
I heard something about coming to us young people for hope.
This is all wrong.
Yep, it's all
Something
I
wrong.
shouldn't be up here.
Yeah,
You shouldn't be
you.
up there.
I should be back in school.
Yes, you should
on
be
the other
back in
side of the
school.
ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope.
I'm sorry, didn't you come to the UN, sweetheart? Has anybody come to you for hope? What the fuck are you talking about? What the I don't, I'm sorry. It's just one of those pet peeves, man. It's like a thorn in my side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
How dare you, Rufus? How dare you, sir? How dare
How
you,
dare you,
sir?
sir?
No, you guys get in here. Aaron and Josh, get in here because I want to show you something that's just, I don't know. It's just something that really bugged the crap out of me and I wanted to cover. This young lady, wow. So I was checking out, hurry up so I don't have to repeat myself 10 times. So I was checking out Ocean Keltoy video. And by the way, I do recommend go over and give Ocean Keltoy a subscription. This is a good channel. I like this guy. He puts out good stuff. He's a good thinker. And when he came to this little piece of an article, which I'm going to cover in a moment, I found the article. But while I found the article, while I was looking for the article, hey Sandra, oh, you changed your name, Sandra. While I was looking for the article, I found something else that's kind of interesting that I wanted to share. Influence. Yeah, you went to the other side of the ocean to seek the youth for help. Exactly, influence. Influence. Do you want to come hang? The link is in the live with Aaron and Josh in the main hangout. Come on in here, influence, if you want to. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but come on in if you got something to say about it. If you want to hang with us, feel free to come in, Influence. But yeah, that was one of the first things I picked up on, and like dozens and dozens of my subscription people have covered this Greta girl and this speech and her background and her family. And Mark from Global Agenda has been doing some good digging on, you know, this soft porn opera thing
Yeah.
that her mom was doing. And her dad's an actor and a director and a producer, and
And somebody who could coach her on reading a
and I
script.
think her grandfather has a Nobel Prize for discovering carbon relationship to climate change or something. Her grandfather has a damn Nobel Prize in in the field of climatology something.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she's a AI robot. So,
Oh, well, you know what? When you see this picture, I'm going to show you, Josh. Hey, and welcome, by the way.
hey, how's it going?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, hey.
Good to
Hey,
see you.
Aaron.
Hey, I've actually done some research on this as well.
Good to
There's some interesting stuff I've found and some interesting connections that I've found as
cool.
well. So I'm excited to hear what you've got.
Cool. Good to see you guys, and thanks for joining me.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, Charles Koss is already in here. Welcome, Charles, my buddy. Um, Greta is a spoiled brat. Okay, so all right, you guys, I don't know how much you caught, but I was checking out this video from Ocean Keltoy. Okay, this is a channel that I do enjoy and I do recommend subscribing to. He puts out good stuff. So I will reread his description. He says, "Oh boy, you guys are in for a wild ride on this one. The Federalist wrote the most poorly researched article, pound for pound, that I've ever read." Somebody mute your mic. You're pounding on the keyboard,
Not me.
Amy. In this video, we go through the claims made one by one and why each of them backfire on him, between misrepresentation of paganism, misrepresentations of environmentalism, misrepresentations of climate change, and even misrepresentations of conservatives. It's an absolute mess, and we'll try to clean it up. So, he shows this little piece of an article here. I'm not sharing, so if I can do like a screen share. If you guys aren't on my channel, if you're not watching what I'm sharing, I can screen share it in the Hangout if you will, if that's easier on you guys.
Let me see. I can bring it up in the
No, it's okay.
YouTube.
No, it's okay. I'll just screen share. It's super easy, and I'm done and done. Now you can see what I'm sharing.
All right, copy that.
Okay, so I'm on Ocean Keltoy channel. All right, this is for you guys, and if you like, go check him out. Give him a subscription. He puts out good stuff.
All righty.
And this little piece of an article that he covers here, I wanted to go find the original article and cover it myself. While I was looking for this article, look what I found. Climate activist Greta Thunberg, I keep wanting to say Thunberg, but everybody pronounces it Thunberg, proclaimed, quote, successor of Christ by Church of Sweden.
Oh, my God. Oh, jeez.
Holy shit.
OMG indeed. And look at the photo. They got her posing with her arms, her hands out.
Oh yeah, it's showing the wounds.
Showing the wounds. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and look what's behind her. Some stonework. I'm only going to guess that they took her down to the church in Sweden or wherever, and had her little photo op. And right below this particular piece of article here, oops. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to see if I can. It's not going to let me highlight. Nope. Okay. It says, for its defense in the environment, the Swedish church. Wait. Stop. The Swedish church defends the environment? Really? They do? Okay, that's news to me. For its defense of the environment, the Swedish church has claimed that activist Greta Thunberg is the, quote, successor of Jesus Christ. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Church of Mother Earth.
What does this mean, though? The successor of Jesus Christ. What does that mean, though?
Yeah, what does it mean? Shall we read?
The Messiah?
The Antichrist?
That would be my guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This isn't even an article. This is just a simple statement. There's not even, as far as I know.
I like that the website is whatsupwiththat.com.
Oh, that's nice.
Jesus of Nazareth has now named one of its successors. Greta Thunberg wrote the Lihams, what is that? Limhams Kirka Church on Twitter. I don't. That's
Can you verify any more of this? Because this is like,
This almost sounds like
is this an Onion article, bro?
well.
really.
Well, it's what's up with that. So I mean, let's try. Let's try. Copy that. Let's just go see what Google has to say about that
Yeah,
article title, just for fun, before I go into really what I want to dig into. Successor of Christ by Church of Sweden. What's up with that? Climate activist Greta Thunberg proclaimed. This is Bibliado Dodo, whatever that is.
There's sciencetells.uk.
Church of Sweden believes that climate activist Greta Thunberg is a successor of Christ of this time due to her defense of the environment. Climate activist Greta Thunberg proclaims successor of Jesus Christ. Climate activist.
yeah,
So they're
Oh
not
my
the only ones
gosh.
talking about it.
yeah.
Oh
So
my
there's a
gosh.
little bit out there. So okay, I just thought it seemed like wild at first, but yeah, if there's other stuff, that's interesting. I'd like to see the root of where that story comes
I'm
from.
gonna
That's
try to
interesting.
find anything like actually is the Church of Sweden like a collective?
Um, I don't
That's a
know.
good question.
I don't know, but feel free to search while we're chatting away here. But Josh, I do want to show you this picture. What do you think of this?
Okay.
What is it? You said you thought she was a bot or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was joking, but
I know you
she
were,
has,
but I mean,
she has some strange facial expressions. I can say that much.
Well, she
um,
does. They are saying that she has
But
Asperger's.
that doesn't. I could have been diagnosed with Asperger's
okay.
under the
Well,
right
hey, I'm not
doctor.
giving any clout to that. I'm just saying that, like most people would argue, a person with Asperger's has difficulty expressing themselves, so therefore, any social
Well,
recognition of.
and yeah, and I do want to make it clear, I'm not making fun of anybody with any ailment, but what I just saw, it was like a very, it was like the same one over and over. It was like almost like you hit a button in the person. And maybe that it's just something I noticed. It was a weird pattern, but about this picture, what do I see? I don't know. It kind of looks like a deep fake to me.
Well, we're not here to make fun. We're not here to mock or make fun. Okay?
Right.
Hmm.
She's a young girl, and I'm not here to trash her as a person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay? We're not here to shit on her as a person.
Hmm.
But she is openly acknowledged publicly as Asperger's, which is a social disorder, which, by the way, as a side note, I think it's interesting that she's out here in public and she's got a social disorder, and here she is in public, freaking everywhere, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, and showing a lot of emotion as well. Like, isn't that an Asperger's trait where
Uh,
they're not able to express emotion? Um,
I think my brother has, he's not diagnosed, but I think my brother has some Asperger's because he has some fairly significant social discrepancies with his ability to interact in social environments. It's kind of weird, and I'm not a doctor, but I sometimes play one on the internet, and I'm just telling you from some personal family experience. I think my brother has, he's somewhere on that spectrum, and Asperger's is obviously listed as on the autism spectrum, but this picture in particular, look at her eyes. Do
Hmm.
you see anything with her eyes? You see anything going on with her eyes?
I mean, nothing like in particular, no.
They look rather empty.
She's
it's
got
intense.
she's got a lazy eye.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not quite a lazy eye, but her eyes are not quite symmetrical, is what I've
Yeah, they're
noticed.
not symmetrical. She's got a
Hmm.
lazy eye.
Hmm.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So YouTube, please don't cancel my channel. Okay. I'm not trying to shit on the young girl just for having a lazy eye. I'm not doing that. But you did mention, I noticed this, and you mentioned something like she's a bot or a robot, and I was like, Josh, you got to see this picture. So
But yeah, I mean, if you look at all the video of her, like she kind of makes, and that's the pattern I noticed. It's like it looks a little abnormal. I don't think it has to do with the Asperger's. It's just a predominant feature that she tends to like make specific forced kind of facial I don't know. It's like the body language of it. You know, you make an angry face or a particular face. It's like it's just interesting.
it could be nothing.
Mhm.
It could be
Yeah, absolutely.
could be one of those photos. Look, if you take 1 million photos of me, look, she's a very public figure. You take 100 or 200 pictures of me, you could probably find one where my eye might not be straight. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, you could definitely find one of me somewhere out there,
Maybe,
I'm sure.
maybe, maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not digging on her because of her eyes. I'm not. Anyway, this was kind of interesting. I think this one here. I think it was this article. I think. Yeah, actually, it was this article, this particular article. Um, and I think this is a pretty good article. I think it's mostly a non-biased. He says here, I wrote about her long before the news woke the new woke capital fanatics adopted her as a pawn. In a recent speech to the UN, while clearly having an emotional meltdown, she told assorted leaders, voice trembling, that they have failed the children and history wouldn't be kind. The quote gatekeepers immediately hailed her as, here comes, ready? A brave savior, as well as a vulnerable autistic teen who shouldn't be bullied. And there it is,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Spelling
a
it out.
really, really, really good tactic to put somebody at the forefront who is impervious to criticism.
Yeah, because if you
She's
say anything
young.
negative about her at all, now you're heartless.
Oh yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's young. She's a girl. She's, on the autistic spectrum. Don't you dare bully this young, vulnerable, brave, oh, I can't say that. Autistic, slightly person. You know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, I got to self censor to the max, right? This is crazy.
Yeah.
It is. It is absolutely crazy.
They have chosen the ultimate messiah, quite literally, because she is impervious to criticism from every angle, except for facts. And I was thinking
Well,
about,
there's nothing really fact-wise that she's presented, though. It was an
mm,
emotional response.
Yeah,
precisely.
the whole purpose of her is to generate an emotional response from people. And I actually I have a really close friend of mine, or he's like a family friend, and we differ a lot in our political beliefs and in our just general life beliefs. But I came at him with some information that I dug up about Greta, and not never attacking her as a person, but more so attacking the people that kind of put her in the position that she's in now. And I was just met with the most ridiculous flailing that I have ever seen in my life. And it was all from, how dare you attack this young girl who has ideals, yada, yada, yada. And it was like, wow, I've come to you with facts, and all I'm getting is your butt hurt virtue signaling BS. Just look at the facts.
Yeah. Well, that really has been the issue with virtually all of these psyops that I found. Don't confuse me with facts. I want to believe this bullshit.
Exactly.
Post-truth.
That's
Post-truth.
post-truth.
Yeah.
Post-truth. I can't. Well, the thing is, people are too lazy to actually verify anything or research anything themselves. So all they're going to do is find something that is causing them to feel something. And because it's causing them to feel something, they believe that it is
And then
completely,
they say,
indubitably right.
I believe, therefore I'm
Yes.
right. Yeah,
There
that's
you
what
go.
yeah, I believe, therefore I'm right. That's the mantra of post-truth.
So you guys saw, I know that you guys have all seen the opening ceremony at the tunnel in Switzerland. What was the name of that tunnel? Left my brain.
Oh,
I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about. We've all seen the videos of the opening ceremony at that fucking tunnel. And that
You
what
talking
Yes.
I,
about CERN?
No.
no, it was a tunnel project, and I'm pretty sure it was
Oh,
Switzerland where they held this ceremony. So check out the rest of this article before I go on. And you guys are spot on, by the way. So there you have it: sexualized dances, psychedelic hallucinations, worshiping in nature, confessing sins in pagan animism, worshiping purified teen saints, and throwing them upon the altar, bereft of their childhood. Oh my God. To promote a greater cause, add to that witches, hexing, Brett Kavanaugh, and having an Ouija board to invoke the spirit of Karl Marx, and everything old is new again.
that's cute.
Yeah, I like that though.
Yeah.
I really should read this article in its entirety.
This guy got more articles. He's got an interesting take.
I know. I feel the same way. This. Let me just go ahead and highlight who this is. This is by Sumantra Miatra. Let me just
Oh,
blow that up so everybody can see clearly.
Contra
Sumatra Matra.
Niche.
So there you go. If you like that author, check him out. And he's writing for, this is up here, The Federalist. Okay.
This is weird.
Okay. So let me go to the article that I want to just shred to pieces. Oh, wait a minute. This actually, oh, wait a minute. This is the article. I'm sorry. I thought I had an, no. Yeah, this is the one that I found by accident. Okay. So this is the article by The Federalist. And so here's the clip that actually gets everything wrong. Where did it go? Greta Thunberg and the Church of Mother Earth. This little paragraph right here, I just want to destroy every word of this paragraph. You ready
Go
for
for it.
this?
Run it.
As secular liberalism destroyed the fundamental ties that bind society. Stop right there.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, let me just get my head around that for a second.
That's a strong statement.
Secular liberalism destroyed, as in past tense, it's already done and destroyed, the fundamental ties that bind society. Okay, all right, I got my head around that. So let's see what you got to say. As secular liberalism destroyed the fundamental ties that bind society,
Hmm.
faith, flag, and family. All right, stop right
Oh,
there.
hey, we have the FFF again there,
Uh,
the
I,
666.
yeah, I know. This is actually a mantra, by the way. Faith, flag, and family.
Hmm.
This is a religious mantra. Faith, flag, and family. So let's just look at that for a second. Secular liberalism has destroyed the fundamental ties that bind society. So the fundamental ties that bind society are faith. I think that's a terrible binding agent. I think
It
that's
often, but it's often true.
no. It is true. It is true.
Hmm.
I
And
think in one way that kind of constitutes a morality in a way.
no, it doesn't constitute morality. It has nothing. Faith has nothing to do with morality.
Well, a lot of
Well,
morality is derived from
from
religious
faith,
faith.
yeah, from faith.
Well, many will claim that, but faith is basically believing in things without evidence. That's what faith really is. It has absolutely nothing to do with morality. You could have faith in leprechauns if you want
Well, I
to,
know, but you also you believe that murdering someone is bad based on what?
Well, that's
based on
ethics.
human well-being. That's ethics.
But where does I mean? Where else do we really see that other than from faith that that's a bad thing to do
Well,
it?
I don't
okay.
know. How about
Can,
every single social species on the planet?
can I want to speak to that.
Go ahead.
Um, Murder, willfully and without fully informed consent, hurting or killing the flesh of another is something that there is not one single being on this planet that would say was okay to be done to them.
Well, you're right, but there's plenty of animals and other beings that would do it to
Well, I'm
other people.
speaking specifically with relative to sentient sapient beings.
Okay, so you're talking
Right,
about
but that's
human
you
faith.
know that's still faith in the idea that human life is precious, but that's
Well, no, it's not a matter of faith in human life being precious so much as it is a realization that none of us think it would be okay for someone else to take our life or hurt our flesh without our consent, fully
That's I mean,
informed.
that's survival 101 though. That I mean, of course, like who would want to
Yeah,
willingly
and
surrender their
Well,
life?
that's the point, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, no one would.
but
And so it is a basic principle as opposed to being just tied to some kind of faith.
I'm just saying that a lot of basic principles like that are tied to faith, though, for most
They
people.
are tied to faith, and I think fallaciously.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
without
I
getting
agree.
into it, but without getting into a debate on what faith really is.
Yeah, you've got your
Sorry.
article.
No, that's okay, you guys. I'll give you guys time to hash some stuff out. I just don't want to get too sidetracked. Um, Faith, quite literally, is believing or believing in things with little or no evidence. That's really what faith boils down to. It really doesn't have anything to do with anything specific like morality or any. I mean, I could sit on a chair and have faith that it's going to hold me. I could get into an airplane and have faith that it's not going to crash.
Sure.
Okay. Now, there is some circumstantial evidence that, well, I sat on the chair 100 times before and it should hold me this time. And millions of people fly every day and they usually don't crash. So there's some faith element in that. Okay. So there's that. Okay. That's literally, it's basically, I mean, when it comes to like airplanes and chairs, there's actually evidence to suggest that there's good reason to have faith. When it comes to religion, you ask somebody who's religious, and they usually have terrible reasons for believing in their faith, in their God or whatever. So that's that. Okay, so that's just one, and I accept that faith in various cultures. I accept that it is a binding agent for society. Okay, binding
Mhm.
society. I understand that different cultures, whether you're Muslim or Jew or Christian or pagan or Rasta, I don't care who you are, where you are. Of course, if everybody in your neighborhood has faith in whatever deity, even though it's for bad reasons, in my opinion, it is a binding agent. I can accept that. I just think it's a bad reason for something to bind society. I think faith is a terrible reason for a binding agent for society. I think there are better reasons for binding agents for society. The next one is flag. Faith, flag, and family. So the next one is flag. What is flag to you guys? What does that mean? So when they say a binding agent to society and they say faith and flag, what does flag mean to you?
Patriotism,
Patriotism.
Yeah.
nationalism.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Nationalism. Spot on. Nailed it.
Yes.
Nationalism.
Believing in the artificial divides the psychopaths
What's
in
the next
control have put
logical
on the
step?
planet.
What's the next logical step from nationalism? Statism.
Yes.
That's what flag. That's a metaphor for statism.
Yes.
And for God's for I mean for the for God's sakes that I don't even believe in, the Bible even says that you should put your trust in your government, in your leadership, in your monarchy, in your rulership. To trust, render under Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay, that's a passage right out of the Bible, right? So the Bible even tells you to trust your leaders. Okay, and the third one is family, which I can totally get behind. I got no problem with this one
Yeah,
at all.
that's the only one of the three I have no problem with.
Okay, so moving on here, it says the human instinct for faith. Yes, there's a human instinct for faith.
Is there?
Yeah, yeah, there is.
Okay.
I mean, if you,
I guess I never experienced it, but okay.
well, historically there has been. So if you just simply wind the clock backwards,
Well, yeah, historically people have been oppressed and
and
impoverished,
dumb and
Yeah,
impoverished.
but
uneducated.
if we're going back to the faith argument, even animals have your pets. They have faith you're going to feed them every day.
Well,
They have
that's very different because the pets have witnessed us doing it every day.
yeah, but
But
they don't
but
know.
but having faith in something you cannot even point to in any way, shape, or form, that's different. That's
I
different
mean,
from pets saying, Mom fed me yesterday and all the days before. She's going to feed me today.
well, I think if you look at, how he goes out to kind of explicate faith, and he talks about belief, worship, submission, and fear.
Yeah,
Um,
I got problems with those words too.
right, and I think that, a lot of faith is derived from fear. I think that
Yes.
a lot of faith is derived from someone's willing to submit to greater ideals and believe in something higher than them, which whether that be something metaphysical or not. I mean, faith
Well,
is a very real thing. It just depends on how you apply it in this function.
Like Rufus said, you have faith that the chair you're sitting in is going to hold you together, and that's based
Exactly.
off of the. And now, granted, there's facts to support
it's
up
based on
that
past
claim. Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
So
sure.
so that makes it reasonable, okay? So if it's
Mhm.
based on past empirical, that's a key word, past empirical experience, then you have a reasonable justification for that type of faith. The chair is going
Yeah,
to hold me.
that's the kind of faith that animals have, that they're going to be fed by
I
you.
wouldn't even
Yeah,
use the word faith when we're talking about animals. I would say trust or
Expectation.
yeah, and expectation, anticipation. I wouldn't necessarily even use the word faith when it comes to animals,
and
particular.
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see us that much different from animals in that way. We call it faith. They
I
don't have a
mean,
word for it.
how
I
many
think it's synonymous with belief, and can in this regard it applies to um, our belief in ideals.
how many times have we heard from theologians, or at least heard the argument, if not heard it directly? We've all heard this, that when someone questions the Bible, the stories, the church, and the pastor or the preacher says, "You just got to have faith."
Okay,
Yep.
George Michael.
That's yeah, you gotta. Oh, now, oh, damn it! Now it's gonna be stuck in my head. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But you get my point, though. I mean, bottom line is when you start asking hard questions, the answer is you just gotta have faith. So, in other words, I don't really have any evidence. You just gotta have faith.
Exactly.
So,
That.
so that bolsters the point that I made that faith is literally something that you do when you don't have evidence.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
So the other problem I have here is this particular word worship. Just my speaking for me personally, I don't fucking worship anything. There's nothing in this world that I worship. Nothing, nothing at
Me
all.
either.
Not
Me
even my
either.
own life. I don't worship anything. And submit. I got a big problem with that word too.
Yeah, that's what they want from us, is to submit.
And fear. I got a big problem with that word.
Yes,
That
yes,
this
yes.
when especially when it comes to like religion, this sounds like this is Stockholm syndrome. Right? God loves you, but you're supposed to have the fear of God. That's Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, fear
But
this God that loves you.
so
Hmm.
I didn't want to get too particularly theological on this. But the article goes on. It says it didn't just go away, but manifest in various other pre-civilized tribal ways. Um, it's interesting that he used the word tribal here because that's exactly what flag is to me.
Yeah.
Because nationalism, statism is tribalism. It's saying, I'm better than you because by virtue of the land that I stand on.
I'd
That's
kind of disagree with that.
Yeah, I would have to disagree as well. It wouldn't be the land that you stood on, it would be the culture that had come from the land that you stand on, that had been many generations prior to you,
I
which had
think
led your people to survive.
there are some people who look at nationalism more as like a community or a culture rather than what it's kind of been turned into as
well,
far as.
it's okay, I think, to recognize your culture. I'm okay with that. I think culture is great. I don't want to see culture go away.
Mhm.
Culture is fantastic. I love culture and I love different cultures. That's what makes life cool is other people have these great cultures and even the weird rituals and ceremonies that other cultures perform, that's all part of history and it's interesting and that's cool. Have your culture. But flag means patriotism. It means nationalism. It means statism. Do you remember that Eddie
Yep.
Izzard stand-up comedy act where he talked about the British colonizers? They showed up. I forget where. I'm going to get parts of it
Yeah,
wrong.
it was when
Do
they
you
came
have
over
a
to the Americas, and they were like, "We're taking over here," and
and
they're like, "Yeah, but this is our land."
but
And
do
then
you
he's,
have a flag?
yep.
That was their excuse. Oh, do you have a flag? But yeah, the natives were like, yeah, but we live here. And the British were like, well, do you have a flag? It was hilarious. But that's the point. That's the point. Well, I planted my flag. Therefore, it's mine. And we're better than you because my flag is flying and yours is not. That's what flag means to me. This is the metaphor that I see. And maybe I'm misinterpreting, and I'm glad you guys are here to help me hash this out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, flag can mean a lot of things, and I can see that aspect of it, no doubt. But I can see another aspect of, again, people that have not necessarily America, but maybe other countries that have gone through great suffering, and then they have a flag as a representation of their, their perseverance, and that they're still a people, and their culture has gone through the trials of fire.
Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to read forward again. And right here, for example, this is where it's going to get fucked up. Like really fucked up. Because I have to start all over. He says, as a secular as secular liberalism destroyed the fundamental ties that bind society. So please, guys, tell me what secular liberalism is before I move forward.
Well, now this is a bias argument at this point on his part. Secular liberalism is basically he. What I'm seeing that maybe is what you're pointing out is that it's pushing a nationalist kind of anti-liberal. It's still propaganda in that way. Is kind of what I'm seeing at this point.
Define secular.
Secular. I mean, it's a good. Let me see.
From what
It's the separation of church and state. It's coming at values from a non-religious place.
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. Where did my thing go? Here it is. Oops, where did my article go?
So then basically what it's saying is that it's destroyed the idea of faith,
Secular.
flag, family as a unity.
Secular is atheistic. Secular is non-religious.
Hmm.
Okay? So, as I begin again, so keep in mind, secular is non-religious. As secular liberalism destroyed the fundamental ties that bind society. So secular liberalism did this. And then right here he says, these things didn't go away. To believe, worship, submit, and fear. They didn't go away, but they manifest in various other ways, other pre-civilized tribal ways. Here it comes. You ready for the dog shit? For example, here it comes. A liberal seminary encouraged its students to skip class to pray and confess sins in front of potted plants.
Well, I kind of have something to say. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I think one aspect of this that I somewhat agree with, or at least one facet of it I agree with, is that because of secular liberalism, people that don't have beliefs, and I think what he's coming at is that people that don't have traditional values are pushing their those beliefs and those convictions that they once had for those things onto social issues, like genders and climate change and things like that, things that are more based in those aspects. I think that's kind of what he's saying.
I'm seeing where you're going with this, Aaron.
I'm not agreeing with this guy. I haven't read the article. I don't know.
I caught that immediately when it said seminary. I went, wait, what? Secular. seminary.
Right.
They're sort of polar opposites, maybe.
And he says, for example.
Yes.
So he starts off this paragraph right under Greta Thunberg and the Church of Mother Earth. He starts off as secular liberalism destroyed the fundamental ties of society. And he says, for example, a liberal seminary. Wait, stop. What?
Yes.
Seminary. A college that prepares students to be priests, ministers, or rabbis. What the fucking fuck are you talking about?
That doesn't make any sense as an example. The second example, I think, is more geared towards what I felt like he was trying to say.
I mean, this just,
Like,
my brain, I had to pick my brain up and put it back in my head. This guy broke my brain with that fucking, for example, a liberal seminary. I'm sorry, that's your example for secular liberalism? A liberal seminary is your
click on the
example
link
for,
and see what they were confessing.
well, it says here, confess sins in front of potted plants.
Is that a link to an article?
Yeah, it is. Let's look.
Because if they're confessing sins to the potted plants, like please forgive us for what we've done, Mother Nature, then that I think makes sense with what he's saying.
Oh, Fox News. Oh, hey, Jesus Christ. Liberal seminary students worship potted plants as beings who sustain us.
There you go. That makes his exposition make more sense.
Well, it doesn't make more sense. It's a liberal seminary, and that's his example for secular liberalism.
Well,
Yeah.
right, but he's saying that instead of students worshiping a deity or a god or these traditional values that he mentioned earlier, he's saying that people are now worshiping things like climate or environmentalism, potted plants. Like in the other example he made was the melting of a glacier, and then of course Greta being, the successor of Christ, the Mother Nature. This is how secular liberalism is causing people to put their convictions in these ideals rather than what it did religiously, what people did religiously previously, like in gender and all these social facets.
Students at Union Theological Seminary in New York City. Union Theological Seminary. That is not secular liberalism.
No, that is absolutely not.
We're instructed to confess to potted plants as an
Right,
expression of worship.
But this is showing how what once was a seminary where people worshipped God. People used to consider seminaries in that way, but now we're seeing how this is showing how like the burgeoning worship of Mother Earth is becoming something.
Well,
so it's contradictory, but it's also it's showing an example of how people are turning worship away from something like a deity and turning it towards the planet.
Okay, but it's not an example. It's not an example of secular liberalism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
No, because
Earth is secular. Earth is secular.
No, it isn't.
It's
if
devoid of religion.
Worship is not secular.
But that's the contradictory in what that's the contradiction in what they're saying. We're seeing now that people are worshiping Earth, which is secular.
Or hell, people worship the state, which is secular.
Right.
Secular, denoting attitudes, activities, or other things that have no religious or spiritual
Who said it
basis.
had any of those things to worship it? I mean, hell, people worship things all around them all the time. They worship their movie stars.
I'm just looking up the definition of secular.
Right. So this what I'm trying to say is this is showing how the idea of worship has been divorced from the idea of God and put into more secular places like the earth and the environment.
Well, it says the definition of secular is have no religious or spiritual basis. So
Right,
if
and
you're
it's
going to talk to or
contradicted.
worship plants or confess your sins to plants, that's paganism. That's spirituality. You want to worship Mother
But they're
Earth, Gaia.
Yep.
This
It's
is
a true contradiction for sure. But
uh,
that's what he's explaining there is
yeah.
like it's not it doesn't make sense as far as the value of the words, but what's happening here is people are transferring this belief they once had in a deity into stuff that is world based, like the environment. So it's going under the guise of being secular liberalism, but it's just another form of religion.
the final sentence in this paragraph. In Switzerland, 250 people in full funeral garb mourned the apparent approaching death of a glacier. So they actually had a funeral for a glacier.
This is mockery, is what it is. It's mockery.
And I wonder what time of year. Was it summertime when the glacier was receding for the camera shots?
High noon in the peak of July.
Really.
Because,
Oh,
I mean,
gee.
glaciers come and go. Glaciers recede in the summer and they grow in the winter. This is well known. You know, I thought about making a video compilation, a comparison between Greta's speech at the UN and, oh crap, right on the tip of my tongue. Left me again. One of those, ah, um,
I hate it when that happens.
Old people moments.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm an old fart.
me too.
Graham Norton and what's his name? The bearded guy was interviewed on Joe Rogan. This, damn it, what's his name? Uh, did I say Graham Norton? I said Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock.
That name sounds familiar.
Um, Carlton. What's his name? Carlton. Damn it.
I wish I could help you, but Carlton doesn't bring anything to mind.
Randall
Yeah.
Carson.
Randall Carlson. Yes, Randall Carlson.
What about him though?
Oh, Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock utterly, just utterly demolished the whole climate change, global warming, man-made climate change narrative. Randall Carlson, God, I'm ashamed that I forgot this guy's name. This interview that I'm showing right now, this Randall Carlson just obliterates with facts and mountains of data and graphs and charts going back hundreds of years, thousands of years, through ice core samples. We know the Earth's geology. We know what causes warming. We know that CO2 follows warming. It does not precede warming. We know this. Randall Carlson, this interview, for anybody who gives a shit, I was going to make a compilation between, and one of my subscribers, it might be in my history, um, already did a thing on Randall Carlson in this particular interview. And this is 3 hours, and I'm not gonna quote beladle the point. So
Just start spoon feeding it out to us, please.
yeah, I'm gonna
Ladle by ladle.
ladle by ladle. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in your face. So
I love
Own
it.
it.
I love it,
We've
man.
actually used it ourselves.
you know, I picked that up somewhere when I was a kid, and I never did correct it. So I deserve the razzing that you guys gave me. But now,
You know, one that got me was anyways. Anyways is not a proper. People often say anyways, and I was very guilty of that, but it is not proper. So, but I don't say it anymore. I say anyway.
now I'm gonna find excuses to use that word more often now, especially when I'm around you guys.
Do it.
No, but I did deserve it. I did. It's the wrong word. It's belabor. It's just something that I've always said. But you were correct to call me out, Aaron. But
But
now,
I just thought it was cute. I have some of my own blind spots. Like I'm failing to think of one right now, but I've said a lot of silly shit.
No,
It's funny. Like it's one of those. It's a blind spot, honestly, because you hear something once or you misinterpret something once, and you just kind of Like it just becomes a part of who you are, and then someone's like, "Hey,
That's not right.
you're way off."
Yeah.
Yeah, paradigm was one for me. I had read the word paradigm, hundreds of times in stuff I was reading, but I had never heard anybody say it. And I
And
always,
you used to say paradigm.
yeah, I sure did. Yeah, I sure
Ah, yes.
did.
I got corrected quite early in my life on the pronunciation of that word.
Yeah, that was early or late teens, I guess.
Oy vey.
Well, I had some like interesting points about all this I wanted to share. I didn't know if you were done with your.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Please feel free.
Well, I watched the speech that she gave, and I was moved by it. I won't lie to you. Like it felt a little bit forced, but I was also like, I can see how this can elicit an emotional response in somebody. Like it's a kid who's feeling oppressed by decisions being made by elders. It's all out of her power. Yada yada yada. So I just went and started asking questions. I watched a couple of informative YouTube videos about it. And just kind of did my own research to verify a lot of it. And there's a lot of ties that I found that were interesting. First and foremost, the handler, her handler that she's seen with a lot, the person that kind of escorts her around the globe. Her name is Louisa Neubauer. And she is actually the youth ambassador for the One Foundation,
That's George Soros, right?
which is a George Soros foundation, funded by George Soros. And I found a lot of links, of course, to George Soros's quote saying that he was, interested in a global justice system, a global presence for environmental causes, particularly like the Amazon fires and things like that. And that tied him to the UN's Agenda 2030, which very heavily pushes environmentalism and a global justice system, aka potentially a
And
new
that
world
was
order.
originally Agenda 2021. That was the plan.
Yeah, it's now
originally.
Agenda 2030.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There are just some interesting links between these people. Greta to Louisa to George Soros, the UN, of course, and the 2030 agenda for a new world order. But those are just some things I came across.
And I, you guys met Elijah on my show the other day. Well, Aaron knows Elijah, but you, Rufus, met Elijah. And I was like, "Did you hear about this Greta chick?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, she gave this climate talk, or basically saying that you took my childhood and all this." And he was like, "You know what, man? Like, he's not involved in this at all, but he's like, man, that's just playing off the heartstrings. It's why do we need to listen to kids about creativity and maybe some morality because kids are more innocent. But other than that, why do we need to listen to kids about climate change? What do they know about climate change?" And I was like, that's a good answer, for especially from somebody from the outside. It's just like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. They've just been pumped full of what to say.
Yeah, and it's not even about disparaging Greta's character or what, even if she truly believes in, cleaning up the planet, who can fault her for that?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
no, absolutely not. The scary thing about that is like, my family friend who I brought some of this information to, who reacted to me so hostile. His thing was, he thought that I was immediately attacking her because I was questioning the powers that put her in that position to speak to the UN, which I think that's a relevant thing to question.
I agree.
Why wouldn't you like this? Regardless of her.
Hell, if
her
she can
message,
do it, can I go talk to the UN? Shit,
right. Yeah, I was sitting there thinking I'd love to go talk to the UN, but do you think they'll let me in?
Damn no.
Not a chance.
So the question then becomes, what agenda is the message that she's bringing forth benefiting, what is it benefiting? To whom
What
is
line
it
is
a
it
benefit?
towing? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, who the hell is going to discount, regardless of, who put her there, who's going to discount a young person who has an idea that is a beneficial idea? Like, that's screwed up. Why would anyone do that? But the question is, who put her there and who is it really benefiting? That's all. Like, that's all we need to be asking right now.
T Bono.
I mean, it's toeing the line. There's no doubt about it. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We could already have solved this climate problem that we have with technology that supersedes what we're using currently with
Well, the
vehicles.
the effect that man has had on climate change is really debatable.
And
What
yeah,
is
I
true
agree.
is that the climate has changed regardless of man's impact for the time of before. Like, we started out as a molten burning rock. Like,
And I agree, and here's the thing: I believe we have the technology at this point to where man could more than likely terraform this planet to be an even better climate. You know,
Yeah,
it.
like adding more
Mhm.
CO2 because the plants are gasping for breath.
You there's a lot of things that I think that we could do already, but again, it doesn't follow the narrative. It doesn't toe the line. So that's a freer humanity, and that's not what those in charge are looking
no,
to go for.
they are not. And that's what's crazy to me. Like, that's what's genius.
Hmm.
They've created, first of all, they've created a controlled opposition for those, and that are moving from the right, and they've created a savior, a saint for those on the left. So that's a brilliant distraction right there.
These are
But
the smartest of the smartest people out here doing this.
Dude, this girl
yeah,
Greta is a brilliant move.
yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
brilliant. And
Well,
again, like,
I'm gonna
She's, I
I'm
mean,
gonna say about Greta, as far as that goes, I am seeing a huge number of people that aren't buying it.
oh, me too.
So,
The backlash
for,
on this girl is tremendous.
Oh, but
and
that's
I think
intended
that's
too.
great.
But
but
that's
that's all
intended just the
controlled.
same. Yeah,
That's what I
that
was saying. It's controlled opposition for the right. Like, she's really easy to discredit.
Well, yeah,
And
but
she's freaking Mother Earth to the left. So
well,
what a great move.
I'm not. I don't. I think that it's really more to the point. The aim for this climate control stuff has everything to do with controlling us, putting us into tinier boxes, into a tinier space on the planet that has plenty of room for. I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it again. If we took every single human being from newborn to on their deathbed and put them on a quarter acre of land in Australia, there'd still be some of Australia left over. And Australia is I'm sorry, 4% of land mass on our planet, not counting Antarctica.
Yeah, and I've seen that as well. But you know, the other aspect of that is it doesn't serve the greater people, the people that want control. If you bring everybody up to your level, then they're no longer served in that. But and I've also always used that quote too, that everybody in could have a quarter acre size lot in Australia. But I am curious because I've never actually dug in myself, and I quit saying it because I hadn't. How much of that land would is that hospitable land? Is that just like you
No,
know?
no, it's just square footage.
Okay,
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that now that
we're
makes a
doing
difference.
square
We're not talking
footage,
about arable land. We're just talking about mathematics, the number of people in the square footage.
but
Now that
That's all.
makes a
one thing
big
I
difference
want to
there.
point
It's just a point.
out.
It's just a point that somebody was making that you could literally take every human being on Earth, man, woman, and child, individually, man, woman, and child. Everybody gets a quarter acre in Australia, and you could still have all of Queensland left over, and the whole rest of the Earth left over, and everybody could literally have a quarter acre of land.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to point out, now I
That's just
researched this.
a spatial thing. I'm sorry.
I
Sorry, Amy.
I researched this a while ago, so please, at the moment, I don't have the sources, but I went out and tried to figure out uh, how much we how much food we create on this planet back then. It's been about 15 years ago. And what I discovered was that we were creating about 125% of the food we could all eat. However, approximately, depending on where you were on the planet, 30 to 40% of that food was spoiling and being thrown out before it got sold.
Mm-hmm.
So, even back then, before we had things like vertical farming, which adds enormously to the amount of food per acre that we could create, we could feed everybody and have food left over if it had been distributed by need and desire as opposed to money profit.
Well, that's a good point. I would question the 30 to 40%. That's a little bit of a high number.
Well, a
I've
lot of
also
people,
I have seen that number before. I don't
yeah.
have a reference, but and that's a big point. 125% is what we make. But here's the thing: I don't really think that that's a sustainable number. Is my concern. I don't think that we are. I mean, as
I
far as our
think it
current
is.
technology,
I think
what
well,
we're
I think
doing.
it is. Since I did that research, we have added things like vertical farming. That did not include vertical farming.
But I mean, what is the cost of that versus growing in the soil? You know.
Uh I'm not really sure as far as, setting it up, but once it's set up, not much difference.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, because that's the only tricky part of with it all. Is like your prices. How are they gonna rise or fall based on the situation of how your food
Well,
gets grown?
that's provided we don't decide to just quit using money,
I
which we
mean,
have the technology to do.
Well,
I don't see that happening
I'll
anytime
tell you a
soon.
quick
Well, I'm
story.
working on it.
When I was young, just like 18, 19 years old, fresh on my own, I was living in Las Vegas, and some friends of mine, I was poor as dirt, and some guys, people I was hanging around with and friends with, they would dumpster dive behind the grocery store on Wednesday when they threw out all of the out of date stuff. Every Wednesday, once or twice a week, they would
Hmm.
go through all the dated stuff, and everything would wind up in the trash. And we would come home with like more than we could eat, like bread and all kind of cereal products and all kind of canned goods that were just, 1 day out of date, 2 days out of date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When the date on the can goes bad, the grocery store can't sell it. I think that's a legal thing. But there's nothing wrong with that food.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I
Yeah.
will tell you this, considering how much the grocery store does sell throughout the rest of the week, and you compare that to what they actually have to throw away by law, there's no way they're getting even close to 30%, let alone 40%. Now, I do understand that there are other aspects of the growing, the
Well,
the
like fresh
the
produce.
harvesting, the transport, and things do get thrown away and lost and spoil along the way, and the bad stuff gets weeded out. In many cases, those bad spoiled products, they wind up in dog and animal food
Yeah.
products.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't actually go to waste. So I think those numbers are cooked, and
Well,
and then we take into account humans as individuals, and yes, we have leftovers in the fridge that we don't get to, and maybe we're not in the mood for leftovers tonight, and maybe we're not in the mood for leftovers tomorrow night, and maybe a week later, oh, we got to throw that out. And yes, people throw food away, and
can
Can
and
I,
then
I
and
was gonna I was gonna mention one thing, you guys.
oh, could you mention what kind of avatar you're using right now?
Gandhi, how you doing?
What's
yeah,
up,
I
bro?
did. I was wondering who you were.
You got an you
I
got an
knew.
orc and a little Aryan baby.
No, it's not an orc. It's an urukai, fighting
Oh, the
urukai.
Urukai. Sorry,
Same,
my bad.
same difference.
The white hand
It's a
of Saruman.
It's definitely not the same thing, isn't it?
yeah,
It looks
yeah.
like
It's
an orc.
completely different things, man. One's half-bred orc and goblin men. One is Puron orc, which are a deformed version of elves.
Okay.
Now, I want to mention one thing, you guys. See, I was listening to this, like I've been trying to pass out, but you guys were talking about this. This is hitting pretty close to home because I'm thinking of this Greta girl. She's 16 years old, right? So back in high school, I remember this point in time. I think like 2005 when I would have debates with people in history class. We would talk about what's the biggest threat to the environment, and this was right around that time when what's his name, Al Gore, came out with that
Oh,
movie.
inconvenient truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
hockey stick.
yeah. So Al Gore came out with an inconvenient truth, right? And back then, I remember I was so irked and so pissed off by the narrative that was being pushed that the biggest threat is climate change when it comes to the environment. You know, climate change when it comes to the health of the planet is minuscule in comparison to all the other things that are actually
The
affecting the
toxins.
environment. Yeah, the toxins in the environment, the pollution going into the rivers,
Yep.
Yep.
that's
That's
still.
nobody talks about that anymore.
No, no,
But the
they
thing is,
don't.
this is the biggest threat. The
Yeah, it
biggest
is. I used to
one.
argue, man, I used to argue with people, but it's
What about Fukushima? You know.
Well, of course, this is just all part of it. But the pollutants that are going into the ocean are actually causing advanced, like accelerated acidification of the oceans. This is a very like unknown fact, but all coral reefs worldwide, I think it's the number something around 70 or 97 percent of all coral reefs are dying right now. The only places on Earth where corals aren't dying is in the waters just around Cuba. And the reasons for that is because advanced industrial fertilizers haven't been introduced yet.
Hmm.
Now, there's
Mm.
large corporations that have a lot to gain off of perpetuating their fertilizers. And so the oceans are dying. Like this is unknown. Like the trawling that's taking place, where they drop giant chains that stretch on for miles in any direction, and they dredge and scour the ocean bottom of all life. This causes the fish to flock up and move into these giant nets. And we're talking about nets that stretch on for miles. And this is what's commonly known as trawling the oceans.
yep.
This is going on worldwide. This could actually be stopped. We're talking about uh, Greta is right in a lot of things what she's mentioning. Okay, she's completely wrong. I think it's ridiculous to go on about this climate change when we could physically stop tomorrow the dredging of the oceans that are leading to the extinction of untold thousands and millions of different ocean species of fish,
Sure.
and and underwater corals, plant formations that we probably have never even explored or found out the history of. There are actual things that could be done
Yep.
to help the planet survive
Tomorrow.
what's
Today. Yep.
and
I agree.
but the thing is, climate change, what they want to do with climate change, I think, is just to push this. Oh, we need to lower our carbon footprint. So that's going to give a leg up to different corporations that are going to benefit from these things called carbon credits.
Yeah.
This is all just a money scam. It's
Yep.
just
Yes, money control.
it's a scam. If we really did care about the environment, and what's so depressing about seeing this huge movement of people that claim to be there to defend the environment is they're defending the completely wrong thing. You should be wanting to stop the destruction of the oceans. You should be wanting to stop the deforestation that's taking place all across the subtropic regions of the planet. There's 100 real things that could happen but aren't. Because
Captain Planet.
Well, people don't really care. They just want to have something to virtue signal about, so that allows them to feel good about defending a position without actually doing
I
anything.
pay my carbon
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah, really.
well,
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah, you can call me
Google.
Rufus.
I'm sorry, Rufus.
That's okay.
Google Snort would like to come in and say something. Is that all right?
Of course it is. I like Google
Okay,
Snort.
hold on. Let me hand the
I'd like to introduce Google Snort to the world. I think this is the first time he's come on a live stream. We've talked privately. This guy's no dummy.
Oh, hello there. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's up, Google Snort?
Okay.
Hey, Google Smart.
You see, there's a big thing behind the rhetoric of Greta and AOC.
Yeah.
People forget there's a man behind that by the name of Guy McPherson. He's been keeping a countdown how long we are going to have before global warming kills us all. He's been doing this for years, at least a decade. And they're taking their rhetoric from him because I heard this guy. He seems to be very smug and arrogant. He knows when humanity's going to die, which I think alone is a very strong weakness in his thesis, because weather is not precise science. He cannot have any way of telling, even if things are bad, when we are all going to cease to exist.
You lost me there. He can't have any way of telling if things are bad when we're all going to cease to exist.
Yeah, through global warming. He's been talking about this. You can look him up.
He's the guy that claims we're done by 2030, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know of him. Yeah,
So they've been saying that for almost 100 years.
not quite 100 years, but at least a decade or two.
No, almost 100 years. It's like 70, 80 years.
Oh, you're talking about like Malthus and the gang.
Well, yeah, the whole government, mainstream media, the whole thing. We're going to die of global cooling. The Earth is going to die in 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. The predictions are more. They've got more end of time predictions than the fucking church has.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just want you to know that, the teenager is just a front. She has her own problems, and to totally blame her for it is kind of ridiculous. She's just the front woman. You know what I mean?
You know what I wanted to say a minute ago was, has anybody heard a peep out of anybody about the ozone layer? Do you remember how that was a big, big, big deal when we were younger? The ozone layer was every day in the news. Oh my God, you're spraying your hair with a hairspray. You're killing the ozone. Oh my God, we're going to die.
Well,
I miss Aquanet.
well, supposedly they had
I used
taken
to
care
use
of that.
shit.
I can still taste it, honestly.
I know, right?
Well, supposedly they taken care of that by getting rid of the fluorocarbons and all the stuff. So, but whatever, Yeah, we were supposedly going to die from that.
Well, anybody with a cursory understanding of science knows full well that you can create and destroy ozone with two methods. Number one is electricity. And if you don't believe me, you can go down to Home Depot and buy an ozone machine. And if you tear it apart and see how it works, it's an arc. So when
I
okay,
understand.
so electricity, when electricity arcs through the atmosphere, through air, it splits oxygen molecules, which is an O2 molecule, and it splits them into individual oxygen atoms, and then they bind with other oxygen molecules, which are already O2, and so now you have an O2 with an extra oxygen, and you created O3, which is what we call ozone.
Yes.
And you can smell it when you turn that machine on. You can smell it. It
Yeah, I
smells
know.
funny.
It
It's not
smells like
even.
electricity.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
smells like
The
electricity.
the other way to create and destroy ozone is ultraviolet sunlight. So if you consider the tilt of the Earth in summer and winter, when the Earth in summer in the northern hemisphere tilts towards the sun, then the northern hemisphere, i.e., the North Pole, gets more direct sunlight than what you get is an opening of the ozone layer. And in the meantime, the southern hemisphere, the southern pole, it closes. And then when the Earth swings around the sun on the other side, where the northern hemisphere, the North Pole, is facing away from the sun, then the ozone layer, or the hole in the ozone layer, closes. And this happens cyclically every single year. So every time if you, we're all old enough to remember the stories in the news, the ozone, the hole in the ozone, they show you pictures. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a certain time of year when the ozone opens, but they don't show you the other time of year when the ozone layer closes. This opens and closes. This happens every single year. And by the way, how long has it been? 30 freaking years. Nobody's heard a peep out of anybody about the ozone layer. I guess we fixed it. We got rid of our Aquanet. Ozone layer is fine.
Quit that. Well, also another thing. Though this may not seem like it has something to do with it, they're using it as an excuse. Now, you probably heard for a while that Amazon's trying to do drone delivery, right? They have found another drone system which uses a combination of flying wing and helicopter blades like an osprey, and they're going to try to use that. And they estimate if they do that, a lot of the local delivery trucks and everything are all going to be gone, and they're going to say it's going to save the climate. They're using that, oh, we can save the climate doing this. And they're saying, don't worry about the jobs. There'll be more job opportunities after this through the industry. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? These guys can't do anything but drive a truck.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna dip out. I want to thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah,
It was my pleasure. You guys take your time, and thank you for joining me. And I was glad you were here to keep me in check. Otherwise, I would have ran off the rails.
Hey, always, Rufus, man.
All right. Love, peace, and Aquanet.
Yeah. Be good to each other and pick up your trash.
Likewise.
Peace out.
Yeah, I was just, saying they're using all this AI stuff to mitigate global warming, no matter the cost in human employment. They're using that as an excuse, this whole thing. So, give me a second. Amy, do you want to come back? Oh, okay. She's doing something. Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, you got anything else to say at the moment?
Yeah, we don't need to go 3 hours tonight. I really just wanted to cover some of the stuff that we've already covered. What else is on the Gandalf has just joined us recently, so I know Gandalf has got more to say.
Yeah, well, dude, the whole fucking thing is, man, like, it's just, I'm just irked by the entire situation. Yeah, you guys are right, and I wanted to actually mention a second ago that the reason that they say that the ozone actually healed itself was because people stopped using aerosol cans. Or it was some type of byproduct of aerosol cans, or it was something ridiculous like that, that the actual ozone healed.
Yeah, I had heard about that ridiculous story, and it turns out that there's an ozone hole in the north during one season and in the south during the other, and it's purely a natural occurrence.
Yep. It's an ebb and flow. It comes and goes. It opens and closes.
All I'm gonna say, you guys, because yeah, like I've been listening. I've been up for the past like hour just listening, trying to pass out, but I had to join in there, man, because it's just sad to see that someone that has so much, you know, uh, she's so Greta's so animated about protecting the environment that she's been misled to a point where she thinks that the ultimate fight is about climate change, where climate can fluctuate up and down, but the destruction of millions upon millions of animal species, plant species, I think is the real catastrophe that we're facing right now. She is right. There is technically a sixth extinction taking place. There's never been this many species going extinct in 65 million years since the extinction that knocked out the dinosaurs. Now, how
You,
far this is going to
mm,
go is for debate.
you know what, Gandalf? I'm going to have to push back on those numbers.
Yeah, me too.
When they say millions of species are going extinct, I would love to see that list. And I would love to see the scientific data that verifies that those animals are no longer extinct. Because, I
You
mean,
mean you mean no longer a lot
thank you.
living?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I misspoke. Yes, that the literally, if I mean, if they're gonna want, if they want me to believe, decade after decade, that every year millions of species go extinct, literally extinct, um, I'm gonna want to see some damn evidence for that, because that's a lot of damn species, and eventually, that should show up in the ecosystem.
Oh, it is. It
And
is.
now,
This is
and now I understand that when they say species, they could mean things like, oh, a particular strain of bacteria, or a particular silly little worm that we discovered on the bottom of the ocean that we just can't find anymore, so we're going to label it extinct. Do you know what I mean?
well,
And when you want to get
yeah.
into numbers like millions of species, um, you're going to have to fucking verify every single one of those species is literally no longer around anywhere to be found. And that's fucking hard to do.
Well, if you look on a map of Borneo, probably is the best example. A lot of people will use the example of the Amazon. But if you look at a map of Borneo and you see the destruction of the rainforest that's taken place, um, you know that there's untold hundreds of thousands of species that in that one tiny island, well, not a tiny island, but it is an island, uh, up teen hundreds of thousands of species have gone extinct. Now, there's lots of verifiable species that have gone extinct, like big ones, but yes, the majority of these species that are going extinct are small fish, they're small plants, they're localized organisms and plants that
Okay.
live in a singular
Yeah, but
valley.
that's not global warming or climate change. That's
No, no,
overforestation. That's
exactly, exactly. But this is the issue. The issue is deforestation. The issue is ocean, river pollution. The big problem that we're facing is not climate change, it's actual environmental degradation. Things that can be stopped,
mm-hmm.
but are not being
Oh
stopped.
yeah. Oh yeah. There are activities that we do, the chemicals that we use and the pollution that we do, and like you were saying, the trawling of the oceans. There are, and you know, the deforestation is one thing. I mean, we do need the wood, we need the lumber. I get that. The reforestation, the act of intentionally planting and replanting the forests. I think, God, I saw somewhere a statistic that showed that we have reforested millions of acres, and nobody's
Yeah,
talking about that.
yeah, but here's the thing, like I tree planted years ago, okay? Back when I was in my early 20s. The thing is, when we forest land that has been deforested and clear cut, what we're doing is creating monocultures. We're basically planting corn in what used to be a prairie grassland. We're not actually, rehabilitating landscapes. We are creating monocultures. I forget exactly the tree species that we planted in what used to be a thriving ecosystem in northern Ontario, but it was one single tree. We didn't plant more than one different species of tree. We created a monoculture. It's similar to how uh, 10,000 years ago, there was something like 1,000 different species of wheat that were being actually harvested, grown, and we've whittled down that wheat variety to around 30 or 50 different species of wheat that we actually farm and raise and actually consume. So we are destroying the environment, and I think that is the threat. The threat is actually wiping out entire species, entire plant varieties, entire ocean sea species. It's not the temperature rising and falling. The temperature could rise 10 degrees. They're predicting 2-degree rise in temperatures. That's okay. That's happened 1,000 times in the past 65 million years since mammals became the dominant species on Earth. But if you destroy the actual foundations of the ecosystem like we're doing, it's going to be something really difficult to recover from. It's not going to be that simple. You can say we'll lower the temperature and we'll stabilize the temperature by driving some kind of hybrid cars, for example, is one of the bullshit things they're pushing to save the planet by driving some hybrid or something like that. Great. Okay, so we're driving hybrids. It's in the year 2300, but we've actually wiped out 75% of the planet's biodiversity. Like it's absolutely it's maddening to listen to have to deal with. It really is, from so-called environmentalists.
I think that this whole man-made climate change thing is a 2 or 3-fold psyop.
Yes.
Number one, it gets everybody's attention off of what you're saying, Gandalf. Pollution, which is my big thing,
Mm-hmm.
because we can stop that like almost overnight. We can do a
Yeah.
hell of a lot to
Yes.
to stop or reduce or almost completely eliminate pollution. We can do a shitload to stop and eliminate the pollution that's literally killing the fish and causing everybody fucking cancer with the ridiculous, unfucking believable, ridiculous toxicity of our municipal water supply.
Yeah,
And
but
I got a video on my channel talking about and showing how horrible and toxic our water is.
the thing is, these things that we're seeing being put are being pushed by corporations who seek to benefit from
Sure.
the morality of the average moron person that's going to be like, oh my God, I want to save the planet. I'll pay an extra 10 cents a gallon or a liter of gas.
Dude, and they got this fucking girl who's like the new Christ Savior. Oh, and for the newcomers, because I know there's several new people join the chat. Check this out if you haven't seen it. Where did it go? Here, Thunberg, climate activist Greta Thunberg proclaimed successor of Christ by the Church of Sweden.
No, Thunberg.
It's, well, I've heard some people pronounce it Thunberg, whatever. I don't fucking care. You know who I'm
I've
talking
heard
about.
I've heard people say Thumberg,
Yeah.
Thurnberg.
Well, Amaratsu, they're ignorant. Okay.
Yeah.
No, like,
No, but
but yeah,
look, just for the newcomers, climate activist Greta Thunberg proclaimed successor of Christ by Church of Sweden. And what I wanted to say to you, Gandalf, was, and anybody listening, that there are articles right now and movements in various countries that are trying to lower the voting age to 16.
I don't think that there should be any voting age. I don't even think voting is a great idea, really. I know this is going to sound really crazy to people, but I don't think anyone should be allowed to vote. I think there should be an intellectual aristocracy, not a monetary
Oh, no,
aristocracy.
you just opened up a whole new show, dude.
Yeah. This is something we'll talk about on another date.
You,
But
you
after
know what? I'm going to get Jen Sharf on here because I bet you she would agree with you.
Well, really? Okay.
Church of Entropy. I think what you just said is in line with what Church of Entropy is promoting.
Well,
Her
she
scientific theocracy.
well, maybe not a scientific theocracy, but I definitely believe there should be some kind of litmus
That's the
test.
same as an intellectual aristocracy.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's
I don't see much of a difference, and that's actually worthy of a conversation.
for example, if you can't point out New Zealand or like say there's a blank map with no names over top of continents, if you can't point out Australia or India, you should not be allowed to vote.
Oh my God, I agree with you there. I mean, I know you've probably seen the videos. There are channels who they go out and they interview dumb people on the street, right? And they take a map of the United States and they turn it upside down and they ask people on the street, "What country is that?" And they don't fucking know.
Yeah, yeah. These people should not. Of course, but these
I
people
mean,
should
in
not.
America, you can't recognize an upside down America.
Hey, man, in Canada,
You, if you can't pick out America on a map, you shouldn't get to fucking vote. I agree. I
no,
agree
but
with you. Your license to vote has been revoked.
yeah,
Thank you for
exactly,
playing.
bro. My whole logic that is exactly my logic. If you can't point out your own, I think the number is 10% of Americans can't actually point out the United States on a blank map. We got serious problems,
Uh,
man.
yeah, we got problems, and I've got videos on my channel. Look if anybody cares. Look at the John Taylor Gatto video that's on my channel, and it's called "The Six Purposes of Schooling." That's the problem we have is our fucking education. It's not education. And I know a lot of people like to say the word indoctrination, and yes, that's a lot of what's going on, but it's called schooling, not education. What schools? Fish school.
No, they're teaching you to be able to be sufficient in their environment, so just you're just able enough to run the machines
Yeah,
that
that's the
keep.
George Carlin line.
Yeah, that's it. You're
Well,
just competent enough to be able to move the levers that can keep the system going, but you're not intelligent enough to actually be able to uh, figure out exactly how you're being screwed, who's running things. You can't actually comprehend how society truly works. All you can comprehend how to do is to push the button that stamps the metal.
have you seen the video that I'm talking about? My John Taylor Gatto video.
No, you got to send me this on Skype though.
It's a must see. If you want to understand why society is the way it is based on the upbringing and education and how the education system forms people's ideas, opinions, and knowledge base, and why people act and react the way they do with the lack of scientific knowledge and everything all that goes with it. It's only a 12-minute video. It's a must see. It's on my channel. I'll go get it and I'll post it in the chat right now. You absolutely must
I'll watch it,
see
man.
this fucking video. It will put everything into perspective in a way that you never ever thought possible. And basically he talks about the six purposes of schooling as laid down by Alexander Ingalls, who Harvard named their honored lecturer in education. And then, do you know what the number one purpose of schooling is? The number one purpose. The number one reason for our schooling system.
I know.
Shut up, Amy. This is a test.
I have.
This is a test. You know what? I'm going to play this video. Gandalf, if I play this, can you hear it?
No, I can never hear your videos that you're playing. But bro, I was gonna dude, I was gonna crash, man, until I heard you guys talking about some of this stuff. But
All right. All right. Well, before I let you go, I'm just going to tell you the number one reason because this video I'm about to share is the six purposes of schooling.
okay, well, dude, like
The
I can't.
number one, hang on. The number one purpose for schooling is to create an automatic response to authority.
Okay, I can believe that. I can dig that, man. 100%. Teachers are nothing more than authority figures. They're you go against the authority figure, you're chastised. So it's kind of it really sets you up for your future in the world. I can kind of dig that idea, man.
Well, when you understand that the number one purpose for schooling is an automatic response to authority. Have you ever seen the Milgram experiment where they have volunteers and one guy has to ask questions, and when the other volunteer gets it wrong, he gets a little shock? And then every time
Yep.
the shock increases. And then when the guy on the other side of the wall starts screaming, "Let me out of here, let me out of here. I got a heart condition. I told you, let me out of here." And then the experiment, the subject to the experiment, whose job it is to keep administering electric shock, he turns to the guy in a white lab coat and a clipboard and he says, "Well, the guy sounds like he's in pain." And the guy with the clipboard says, "It's okay, we got this. Continue. Please continue." And he does. Why? Because it's an authority figure. All it takes is a guy in a lab coat and a clipboard, and you become an authority figure. And you can take an average human being and make him electrically shock another fucking stranger human being to the point where he's in extreme pain, screaming his head off, "Let me out of here." And all it takes is a guy in a lab coat to say, "Please continue," and they do.
Yep.
That's how you test. And when John Taylor Gatto, you watch my video, John Taylor Gatto says, "Have you ever wondered when you were in school why they always gave so many stupid orders?" He said, "Because when you want to test if you're successful in training people to react to authority, you don't give them sensible orders because people have a natural proclivity to follow sensible orders. You test by giving stupid orders and see who follows that."
All right, I'm gonna check this out, man. Yeah, you know, I just,
I
I just
I
got, I just got to say that Greta Thunberg, if you're listening, we have to talk.
Get out
Okay,
now. Run away. Run.
no,
Be afraid. Run away,
Greta,
far away.
Greta, we need to talk. Okay, stop shilling for the auto industry. Stop shilling for whatever
Oh,
corporation's going to be benefiting monetarily off of these carbon credits that they're going to probably roll out once this goes worldwide.
yep.
Start actually advocating for real things, like stopping the deforestation, stopping the destruction of the oceans. Let's save the bees and save the trees, please.
save the whales, save those snails. You know what? I'm glad you said that, Gandalf, because this is a good way to close the show. So from now, for the purpose of this particular show, instead of our normal final thoughts, how about we all give Greta a piece of advice? And Greta, my piece of advice, Greta, if you ever get wind of this video, which you probably won't, but that's irrelevant, it's all rhetorical. Greta, please go listen to Randall Carlson and what he has to say about the climate. And you'll see that you've been lied to. And you're lying to the world, and you're now the spokesperson to untold millions of young people who are now going to have soon to have the right to vote, and that'll be used against you.
Greta, this is my final message to you.
Blue.
You know, you got to stop the chemicals that are being allowed to be introduced into the water system that are turning the frickin' frogs gay.
You know, there's actually some truth to that. You know, the Alex Jones rant, it was more of an extreme version of some
Yeah,
truth.
no,
And
no,
the
it is.
truth is that the males they're changing gender because of the fucking chemicals in the water. They're not
Yep.
I mean, they're literally switching genders. So Alice Jones went full on retard when he turning frogs gay. Well, no, they're actually switching genders.
Frickin' frogs gay.
So there's a tiny bit of truth in that stupid Alex Jones. Thanks, Alex Jones, for ruining what could have been a good meme.
Yeah.
No, it's called arestazine. That's actually a massive bribe.
Atrazine.
atrazine. That's actually a massive byproduct of industrial fertilizers and chemicals that we're producing. So, Greta, please help Alex Jones in his quest to stop turning the frogs gay. That's my final thought.
You know, I'm not really sure what to tell Greta, mainly because I strongly suspect that the poor child is totally MK Ultra and there's really no hope. But I suppose if she was actually to listen, I would say take a look at ways to escape what they are putting you under and start looking for ways to actually help the universe rather than push society in a way that the controllers want us to go in. And love always.
Well, Gandalf, real quick, final thought. You guys,
I thought he gave his final thought.
well,
Stop.
that was to Greta. This is just in general before I shut it down.
Oh, I guess he stepped away.
Everybody in the chat is typing it out. Greta, check out geoengineering weather modification. Greta, I suggest eating a healthy breakfast and resist the New World Order.
My final thought to anyone listening, no matter where you live, there's a local tree that is in dire need of planting in your backyard that can help. It can nest birds, it can stabilize soils. Here in Ontario, it's the white pine. Wherever you live, plant one of those suckers in your backyard.
That is presuming you have any kind of home at all.
Well, if you
But
don't,
if you don't,
I'll go one above Rufus Cat. Instead of picking up your trash, don't even leave trash.
yeah, don't throw it down in the first place.
Well, in that case, I'll modify. Pardon me.
That's what mute buttons are for.
I'm sorry. I'm too busy coughing to mute. And by the way, I paid good money for that cough.
I'm sure.
I'll modify my trash statement. Pick up someone else's trash.
Yes. I do that.
Be good. Hey, Joanne, you're late to the party. We're about to close it out.
But all right, love you guys. All right,
all right, love you back.
Love everyone.
All right, Gandalf, thanks for joining us.
Love.
All right, you guys, be good to each other and pick up some. Instead of, I'll just say pick up some damn trash. Pick up some fucking trash. Pick it up. See it? Pick it up.
Yes.
And stop fucking throwing it down, you drunken assholes who drive through my neighborhood and throw your beer bottles out the window before you hit the main highway. Fuck you. I hate you all.
Yes.
And with that, I will see you guys on the flip side. And I'm going to close it down in 3, 2, 1. Good night.
I love it. Good night, everyone.
Good night.